Okay. All right. Yay. Okay, perfect. Well, here we go. So here's what I was kind of thinking. So I'll get us introduced, and then Darren's the meat and potatoes guy. He is the one that does all of this, manage for us. I meant to say, hey, Ruben. Thank you for coming. And so he's the meat and the potatoes guys. If you guys have questions as we go, just because we are cramming a lot in here, our goal is just to get through it. See if we answer your questions as we're going. Go ahead and put them in the chat so we don't miss them at the end, and then we'll do Q&A at the end. And then that's a good time for specific questions for your property or other things. We're happy to stay on here as long as we can serve you guys. So, okay, so I'll start with just a little bit about when we're looking at everything. So most of you know us, but we are newer Christians. So God found me in a pit of despair and illness a little over 2 years ago. And when I'm looking at work now, I really want to figure out, hey, Kayla, I really want to figure out how all of this fits in biblically, right? So I always love to go into the Bible, but please know when I'm teaching you guys here that, all right, got a couple more people coming in, that I'm coming at it from a 2-year level of knowledge. And so here's some biblical values, though, that I think encourage investing. Hey, Mitzi. Hey, Sandy. So I think we're called to be good stewards, right? In Proverbs 21:20, the wise store up food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down. So, I mean, how many of you guys know that, hey, Bill, especially realtors, like, right, they get that license and then they be coming into that parking lot the next day with a Mercedes Benz, and you're like, have you even sold one house yet? Darren and I always joke, we owned a brokerage in Colorado. When we exited, we had about 75 agents, and we probably had the worst cars in the parking lot. Darren drove like a 10-year-old Toyota Sequoia. I had like a 7 or 8-year-old Acura, because we really wanted to store up, right? We didn't want to gulp all of our excess. I think that this having a real estate license, guys, is so beneficial for investing, right? And it's a career that allows us to have overflow, but let's not use up that overflow. Let's store it up so we can invest. But we have to activate, guys, right? All hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. So this is in Proverbs. I love this, right? Because especially in the investing space, so statistically, only about 8% of realtors own rentals. So yay for you guys for being on here, because most people, right, are too scared to activate. And you're going to make mistakes, guys. Use us as resources. But I will tell you guys, we have made about every single mistake, and we just have been trying to look into our rental journey, and we've bought and sold about 40 rentals at this point. So we have in and exited a lot of things, some by choice and some because of a bad decision, right? And so just know that. And then God calls us to be generous, right? A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. And so I just always love that, right? The more that we can give and bless others, I believe the more flow will come back into us, and it's kind of this lovely life cycle. And then we're called to leave a legacy. So Bill is on this call. He brought this up in one of our local group meetings. And a good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children, but a sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous. So to me in this, I hear, right, we're called to leave a legacy. I call it generational wealth. And real estate is such a great way to do that. Statistically, 90% of millionaires are millionaires via the avenue of real estate. So this is a great way to bring money into the kingdom and to bless others. So that was my little bit of research there. So we'll tell you a little bit quick about our journey. So our journey into short-term rentals only started in 2019, guys. Now we were doing stuff before that and some long-term rentals and some other things, but this was our first Airbnb we bought for $340,000. We used a 10% down second home loan. You can negotiate extra commission, guys. So almost all of you on here are licensed. You can negotiate extra commission when you are buying an investment property, and then you can put that directly towards your down payment if you need capital there, or you can pull it to help you furnish. And so it's just, it's having a real estate license is a great leverage point. And so hey, Lynette, we put all 6% of those commission down, plus we had negotiated closing cost. So we bought about $14,000 to the table to buy this house. And so just kind of to get your kind of wheels spinning about that this is possible for you too. And then here is a little insight of where we are today. So fast forward from 2019. So we own 8 short-term rentals currently, Colorado, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. And currently we have 2 under contract and 2 pending that we should be contracting on by the end of this week. And those are in Tennessee, Florida, and North Carolina. And so I just want to encourage you that as your properties gain equity, your snowball starts to roll, and it's super exciting, guys, right? So we sold 2, and now hopefully we will be buying 4. And so it's super exciting. And I want to give you guys a little snapshot of numbers because I think everybody talks about, you know, on Instagram, I'm making $5 bajillion with my Airbnbs, right? And I feel like it's a little just clickbait, right? And so here's our actual numbers for this year. So this year on our 8 properties, we grossed $485. Every property has a mortgage. And profit for us is usually around 25% after mortgages, cleaning fees, supplies, and maintenance. So just to give you guys good metrics to work within, right? And so that's where we stand today. Oops. Hold on. Okay, so here's an overview of what you're going to learn today. Guys, we're going to give you tech. So if you're going to start this journey, I really feel like God is downloading on me this year peace. And for me, peace means leverage because there's so much that I feel like God's calling me to do. And I don't want to work like I worked pre-God and get out of alignment with God first, my marriage second, my family third. And so in order to do that, we need to have leverage. So tech is going to be your leverage here, right? Your team that you need, we're going to give you ideas and pricing suggestions for optimizing. So most Airbnbs went down this year post-COVID, right? COVID was this huge boom, a lot of income. Every single one of ours went up in income this year. So we're going to share those strategies with you, how to get your 5-star reviews and how to have a wonderful guest experience. So I'm going to take it over to Darren because he is the tech man.
All right. Erin said we got 2 minutes to slide and then she just talked for 15 minutes. So tech stack that we use, and this I kind of added things over the years, but this is where we're at right now. And the things that I would recommend from anybody, you know, starting from day one. So Hospitable is a PMS, a property management software, controls your calendars, guest messaging, things like that. Price Lab is a pricing software that I use. There are different versions of all these things. You know, there's a lot of different companies that do these. These are the ones that I use. Price Labs is a pricing software. Rank Freeze is just a software that pulls the Airbnb search algorithms to kind of let you know where you're at as far as if you're showing up on the first page or the second page. Obviously, you know, you want to be on the first page of everybody's search impressions if possible. So there's different ways to try to fluctuate that and get you to the top. And then TouchStay is a digital guidebook. You know, like everybody's probably been to an Airbnb in the past, and they got that old flip book that's got like restaurants or whatever in it. So TouchStay is just a digital version. It's an app that goes, you know, you send a link directly to the guest. So it's got Wi-Fi info, where to find things, your favorite restaurants, and just eliminates. The more questions you can eliminate, the more free time and the more you can scale and all of this stuff. And I'll talk a little bit more about all these things. Then OwnerRez is also a management software. It's OwnerRez and Hospitable are kind of duplicate. There's a reason I use both of them. But OwnerRez is really more kind of a short-term rental second level, I guess. But I'll talk about more of that stuff. So Hospitable, I think, is anybody with a short-term rental should have this. Like I said, there are a lot of different management softwares out there. This is the one that I like and use the most. So first thing is it connects and controls all of your calendar. So if you have Airbnb, you have Vrbo, are the only two that I use. Some people use Booking.com. But really, I think Airbnb is it's the 600-pound gorilla. They dominate the market. Vrbo is a close second, especially in some markets and some demographics it fits more. So Hospitable will link both those calendars together, so you don't get double booking. So if somebody books something on Airbnb, it automatically blocks those dates out on Vrbo. It also, the automated messaging is really the thing that I love about it. When I first started, we had one property and you're having to text every single guest, like, check in, got your booking, here's the Wi-Fi, here's your door code, all those kind of things. So I've got a whole system of automated messages from booking until checkout and a review request that it's all automated, all goes out in a certain time frame that I'll share with you guys that just eliminates a lot of that communication and frees up some of your time. Hospitable also, they have a premium subscription, which they can create a direct booking website for you. I think everybody's goal is to get off of Airbnb and create direct bookings. You can save yourself money, have more control of your calendar. It's a difficult thing to do, but you can direct, friends and family and other people there if you want to get a direct booking website that way. It also has integrated door lock technology. So I use Wi-Fi controlled deadbolts in all of our places. I particularly use the Schlag on code, it's called, but Schlag has a couple, Yale has a couple, Quickset, whatever, all the door lock manufacturers. There's a bunch of them now that can connect with Google and Nest and whatever. But they connect to your Wi-Fi, so every guest gets their own unique code, so you're not having repeat. I guess the concern is if you have one set door code and you have 50 guests that come and go through there, all those people have your door code. So I just use the last four of the guest number. It creates a door code. Hospitable automatically sends it to the door code. It saves it in there like a week before the actual booking, just in case there's a Wi-Fi router added. It's already on the lock before they, a couple of days before they get there. It only works while they're there. It deletes right after they're gone. And I've never, I won't say never because the dean is on the call too, rarely have had any issues where a door code doesn't work or anything like that. So I keep the door code, and then I have a physical key in a lockbox, mounted to the wall next to the door, something like that, just in case of emergency. All of our places are all over the country. I can't go drive over there and let somebody in the house. So I've got a old school lockbox somewhere on the property. And then there's also a hard code that's saved in there for my cleaner. It's always in the lock, regardless whether the battery dies, the Wi-Fi goes out, everything. So I've kind of got a double fail safe just in case anything were to ever happen with a door lock. Price Labs. So this is the pricing software that I use. There's a couple other ones, Wheelhouse, Beyond Pricing. I like Price Labs. So the biggest thing when I first started out, I had a 2-day minimum and $125 nightly rate, just kind of across. Price Labs, you can fluctuate your length of stays, and the pricing is the biggest thing, right? So it'll give you set like a minimum, like I don't want to rent my place for less than $125 a night, and I'll set that as a floor, and it'll give you a recommended base price, they call it. Say my average price I want to hit is $200 a night, and it'll fluctuate that price all the way across your calendar for you. So if it's 6 months out, that price goes up. It knows that it's the 4th of July. It knows that there's a balloon festival. It knows that there's a motorcycle rally based on people's search criteria, concerts, whatever. And so those dates, like if there's something special going on, you might normally be booking at $240 a night on average. And then the 4th of July, you're going for $600 a night. And if it's, like I said, like 6 months out, it'll be higher. As you get closer to those dates, it kind of slowly whittles down the price and comes back. So the closer it gets to the stay and open dates, it'll lower the price to incentivize bookings that way. And then almost all of that's automated. It'll give you recommendations. You can override it. You can do whatever you want. You can get real nitty gritty and pick like, I want to compete against these 5 houses, and set your own comp set in there that your base pricing is your 5 closest neighbors. And then length of stay, I've always done kind of like 3-night minimum on a weekend, 2-night during the weekdays, maybe off season, I take 2 days on the weekends, but just recently they've got some new software that fluctuates the length of stay. So I've got these recommendations in here, and really they're pretty property specific, and Price Labs will give you those recommendations. So, at a mountain property in Colorado for July and August, which are your peak season, I've gone all the way out to a 7-day minimum, as long as it's 180 days in advance, to try to get those longer stays, to eliminate gap nights and things like that, because you don't want, like, the 4th of July, somebody to go out there and book 3 days when a lot of people might take an extended weekend or stay for 5 days, something like that. So try to maximize that length of stay, and then again, as you get shorter to closer to that window, it'll back that off. And you can set different seasons. So on season, I've got the 7-night minimum. Off season, it's still a 3-day weekend. And then once you get inside of 180 days, it might drop it to a 5-day minimum. Once you get inside 90 days, it drops it again. So you can set all sorts of different parameters, and it'll give you recommendations based on that zip code, geographic area, what people are searching for, what average length of stays are, and kind of gives you a lot of recommendations, and you can do all sorts of different things with it. And I've really just kind of got into the length of stay stuff in the last couple of months. So the other thing is rank freeze. The Airbnb algorithm is, like this mysterious thing that nobody really knows and they don't let out. So it's hard to try to pinpoint that, but rank freeze does a good job. You can put your properties in here. It does have a function kind of like AirDNA, where you can look at other properties around you and it'll tell you like what their average daily rate is, what their occupancy rate is, as far as if you're searching to kind of figure out your price, or even like when we're purchasing a new Airbnb, we might look at AirDNA, but rank freeze has a function like that too. But it'll tell you like, your property is showing up, for 4 guests, you're on the second page, listing number 32 for whatever geographic area you're in. And so it doesn't necessarily give you recommendations because nobody really knows the Airbnb algorithm. But a lot of the recommendations from different Facebook groups and experts and things like that. If you just set your listing and just set it and forget it, you're not going to move up the rankings. So I go in like twice a year. In the fall, I'll change my pictures to some winter pictures for those winter bookings. Then in the spring, when you're getting into the booking for the summer season, I'll swap those pictures out and put summer pictures in. So the more you mess with your listing, change photos, change the listing description a little bit, anything like that, Airbnb, that's part of their algorithm. You're in there and you're messing with the software. And so in rank freeze, you can, if you're showing up on the second page, you can make yourself a little note on this date. I rearrange the photos, or I put summer photos in, and then go back in a few days later and see if that's moved you up, moved you down, you're still in the same place. It just kind of gives you some metrics of what you're doing and what you're changing and how it affects your search ranking. Next one. Okay. So touch stay. Again, a lot of the software is just automation purposes, right? The more you can take off your plate, the more you can automate and answer questions. The less text you get, the less questions you get, the more free time you have. The more this doesn't, become a full-time job, and you can scale and add more. So Touch Stay is just a digital guidebook, just like the old school flip books that people used to have in their house. I mean, the most time-consuming thing is you get somebody that checks in and they somehow can't use Google, right? How that's possible? They're like, hey, I forgot the Wi-Fi code. Hey, we're going out to dinner. What would you recommend? What's your favorite breakfast spot? I'm like, I don't know. I just Google these places too. I don't know. But anyway, if you have this guidebook, you've got where to find things, how to use. You can go as far as put pictures and upload videos, as far as how to turn the TV on, how to use the cable system, how to use a fireplace, things like that. But just having recommendations for those everyday questions, places to eat, things to do, activities, walking trails in your neighborhood, hikes. You can put a lot of different things in there. I would say every time you start getting the same question, just add it to your touch stay. The more you automate it, the less questions you get. And so I have this QR code that's mounted in a little frame. I have it inside the house. There's also a link that goes out like at the time of booking, and then with the check-in instructions, the link is also sent. So I try to keep pushing it to them. But you'll undoubtedly have, grandma staying at your place and still can't figure out the Wi-Fi, can't download an app and will ask you questions, but do your best to eliminate as much as possible. And so owner res, again, it's very similar to hospitable. It's just a more robust system, is really designed for like property management. So I wouldn't recommend this to somebody unless you're scaling over 5 properties. This is what I use to run my direct booking website. But you're able to do some other things off of. So when I use owner res, I send out a rental agreement. I require people to sign a rental agreement that's separate from Airbnb and Vrbo's policy. Do a little bit more protection. I collect my own security deposit, so it's not controlled by Airbnb. They don't hold it. If there's a problem, I don't have to argue with Airbnb. I've got a that I'm holding separately, just in case there's a problem. And really, I've never once in all the years and all the properties really had a problem where somebody did a little bit of damage to a property and it was accidental. It wasn't anything malicious. You can always hear all the horror stories of problems with Airbnbs and whatnot. I've never had a problem with any of it, but collecting an off-platform security deposit, I feel like it's just a level of protection for me. If somebody's really raising to think about it, then maybe there's a reason. So anyway, I won't go too into owner res. It's really kind of a larger scale management software. Like I said, I still use Hospitable on top of owner res just because owner res doesn't have the automated messaging function that Hospitable does. They're working on it, but right now I'm kind of using them both in conjunction. Insurance with short-term rentals. So Airbnb and Vrbo both offer a $3 million damage protection and a $1 million liability coverage. So if somebody slips and falls on your property, you're covered through them, especially and also with damages. If anyone were to cause damage to your property, like I said, I do the rental agreement security deposits as kind of an extra level of protection at this point. Renters policies aren't the same as short-term rentals. There are only a few companies that really do true short-term rental insurance. Because if you have a short-term rental that's renting out for 2 or 3 days at a time, even if you have a rental policy on the property, will exclude that type of rental. They're going to say it has to be a 30-day minimum or something like that. So if you had a claim arise, there's a potential they could deny it, or they don't. They also don't typically have the loss of rents coverage that's the same as a short-term rental. So just make sure whatever homeowners insurance you use on a property, you talk to the agent, and they really specify that this is a short-term rental specific policy. And I just up my liability coverage. I don't just to protect yourself. Rather than your standard $100,000 liability. I typically do a higher liability, or we have an umbrella policy for $1 million, just in case there was a slip and fall, somebody wants to sue you, something like that. Just making sure you're double covered. Before you forced me to go to the next slide.
Sorry, no, thought you're done.
And then a lot of people, especially when they're first getting into short-term rentals, just how do you get paid, right? So regardless of how you have your property set up in Airbnb and Vrbo, you can say, I want to collect the full balance up front, 50% on booking, 50% a week before check-in, something like that. Doesn't really matter how you have it set up. You don't get paid until the day that they check in. So if somebody books my property today for the 4th of July and they pay it all up front, Airbnb keeps that money and holds on to it. The day that they check in, they transfer it to my bank account. And so the fees, Airbnb charges the host 3%, Vrbo's 8%, and then the guest fees is 12% on Airbnb. Vrbo kind of fluctuates. I'm not exactly sure what it is, 6 to 20%. Vrbo's a little bit more expensive. But then you don't have to worry about refunds. You don't have to worry about cancellations. I got paid $2,000 and then I got to pay it back to somebody, right? Because it's being held in a kitty and you get paid the day of it. And then Airbnb and Vrbo also both collect all of your taxes. So it's kind of an offshoot. Because anytime you want buying a short-term rental, you really want to make sure the licensing is a big thing. It seems to be more restrictions these days. I always try to stay in short-term rental friendly areas that don't have a ton of restrictions. But a lot of places have licensing requirements. So you typically pay your license, you know, $400, $800 once a year. But as far as any of the occupancy taxes, sales and use tax, all that kind of stuff, Airbnb and Vrbo collect those and pay them directly to the jurisdiction on your behalf. So you don't have to deal with any of those extra taxes outside of just your regular property taxes that you would pay through your escrow. They collect and handle all the taxes. I think there's a few weird jurisdictions where they're not allowed to, but 99% of the areas it's all kind of taken care of for you, so you don't have to worry about it. And then all the people I've ever talked about too that want to get into short-term rental are worried about the time commitments, right? And so all this automated software is really just to reduce your time. The guest communication and the texting is your biggest time suck, I would say. So the more you can automate it, the better off you are. So I did all this myself for 1 property, 2 property, 5, 6. At some point, we bought 8 properties, and it kind of became a full-time job on top of my other full-time job. So I've hired Adina, who's on this call with us. She's really started out as guest messaging, and she's kind of taken over everything at this point, and she's a godsend for me. She communicates with the cleaners. She has the maintenance people, the guest messaging. She kind of handles everything for me at this point. I would say 8 properties, average probably 20 hours a week. I mean, obviously seasonality, that fluctuates a little bit. And as a new host, just getting started in the business or your first short-term rental, I would estimate, you know, with 1 property, you know, 2 to 5 hours a week. And again, the more you can use automated things and the less the you know, communicating with cleaners is fairly easy. Maintenance people is always a pain. With the guest messaging is your biggest time commitment. So the more you can automate it, the less hands off you can be. But I would estimate, just, you know, for your own expectations, somewhere between 2 to 5 hours a week with all the communication that's required.
Okay, and I'll jump in here. So Darren, if you'll keep your eye on the comments.
Yep.
Kayla had a question there that I didn't have an answer to, so if you could answer her, that would be great. Okay, Ruben's asking, so Ruben, Airbnb just pays it on your behalf. So when it's collected upon the reservation and they pay for it, not your licensing fees though, that would be separate.
Yeah, and licensing fees just vary by jurisdiction. Most of the places, you have to have a local contact. You have to have somebody that, you know, will respond in an emergency within 30 minutes or 1 hour. Everybody's got their own little rules. And all my cleaning people do that for me. I use the cleaning person. They're all in the area, live in the area. So I have them listed as my emergency contact in case, you know, whatever. I've never had to use them really. But they require that. And then licensing, $400 a year to $800 a year, I would say is average. You renew that each year. When you first get it set up, you know, there's some hoops you got to jump through, some safety inspections sometimes. But once you've got the license, it's just kind of an online renewal each year.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you're welcome. And we can, if there's more specific stuff at the end, we will absolutely help, Ruben. So let me jump in. So your team. So basically, as you can see, we run in multi-states. We are currently located in South Carolina. And really, with these systems and processes, you guys can manage out of state. And so our first Airbnb that we shared with you was about 45 minutes away. I would highly recommend, if you're entering this space, entering somewhere that's close to you that your family would love to use. We could, you know, our next class, I believe, will be just on finding Airbnbs and how you enter and what we look for. If you have ideas for classes, please pop them in the comments. We would love to serve you guys in any way we can. But excuse me, the main thing that we need to do in order to be able to manage out of state is two people, right? It's your cleaning crew or, you know, cleaning team, and then your handyman. And then per area, you may need lawn care, pool or hot tub maintenance. It is much more cost effective if your cleaning team will take care of your hot tub maintenance for you. If you have to hire a company, it can get expensive. Pest control and snow removal. So just make sure that you have your team prepared. And I know Kip had asked, where do you find these people? So if it's an active Airbnb, get the contacts of who's currently servicing the property, right? Get those before you close. Do not sign on closing documents until you have all their contact information. We almost always are coming in and doing updates to Airbnbs, but to get you started, ask for their media too. So ask for their photos so you can have a listing up and ready to go. And then as soon as you do any updates or upgrades and get new photos, you can update it. And then your local realtor, right? Like a lot of us on this call are realtors. We have our teams in place locally. Ask them who can help. Your cleaning team, guys, is
your life.
Yeah,
your lifeblood,
your lifeline.
Your make or break this whole thing.
You have to have an amazing cleaning team. And so here's just some tips and tricks if you're interviewing. Also, guys, all 4 of the houses that we are just interested in purchasing, we all bought sight unseen. So we could not see how well they were cleaned when we bought them.
I still haven't seen them.
Yeah, only I've seen them. They're all wonderful. But when you're there, check out how clean it is, right? Is it up to your expectations? Do you want to hire the cleaning team? If you are in a mountain community, guys, you might just have to take what you can get. It is a lot harder in those areas to find cleaning crews. So you can just encourage them to follow kind of your cleaning rules. If you're hiring a cleaner, guys, they have to know how to flip a short-term rental. It is not a standard clean, right? Their dishes, their laundry, they're making bedding. You want your beds to look like hotel beds. It's not a standard flip. And unfortunately, they have to have 7-day-a-week availability, including holidays. So it is just par for this business. Our cleaners take off Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day, and that's about it. And that's pretty standard across all 8 of our Airbnbs. And so that's why you want a team, right? So you want people, you don't want to hire a single cleaner. I would highly recommend not going that route. You want to have somebody that has a crew. You want them to be able to do same-day turnovers. That will significantly impact your bottom dollar if they're not willing to do same-day turnovers, meaning a guest checks out on Wednesday and a guest checks in on Wednesday. And then another thing that we require is they must allow us to Amazon them supplies, toilet paper, new linens, whatever that we need. We want to be able to Amazon them, and they're going to take them to the property. And I can't emphasize, if your Airbnb is not clean, this will kill your Airbnb. And if you're doing your own Airbnb, hire a crew. Please hire a crew. Nobody cleans like cleaners, and you don't want to, if your reviews go down, it will almost always be in accordance with how clean it is.
Can I pop in real quick?
Yeah.
Back on the length of stay stuff, I didn't touch on one thing. On the off seasons, I will go down to a 1-day minimum night if it's within a week of booking. So if I've got an opening in less than 6 days out, and it's not peak season, mostly because Airbnb loves 1-night bookings. It'll significantly increase your booking. I don't want to do a 1-night booking. Most people aren't going to book an Airbnb for 1 night. It's probably not competitive with a hotel once you add the cleaning fees and everything onto it. But that is a discussion you have to have with your cleaning crew beforehand. A 1-night last-minute booking will throw your cleaning crew into chaos, and most of them don't like it. So it's a conversation if you're going to do a 1-night booking, to make sure your cleaners are cool with that, especially if they run a big operation and a lot of things. Some of them just be like, I'm not doing a 1-night turnover with less than a 24-hour notice or something like that. So just a side note that I forgot about.
Oh, that's super helpful. And then we like to keep everything on a biannual schedule. So after a busy season, get in there for a deep clean, carpet clean, get your, you definitely want to get your couches cleaned. And yard and gutter cleanup. We do furnace filters at least twice a year, smoke alarm batteries twice a year. And I didn't add on here, which I should, is that you want to have somebody like Adina or yourself go through in your inventory twice a year, right? And make sure you have enough wine glasses, things like that. We have a whole section on inventory, so we'll get that there, but add that to your biannual just to make sure that you always have enough items for your guests. So photography is super, super important. We've got a lot of realtors on here. You've got to use professional photography. Some things that you're going to do a little bit differently than maybe standard real estate photography is you want to photograph amenities. So if you have a game room, you have a closet stocked with board games, a grill, a hot tub, things like that. And then you also want to make sure that you highlight, which would be involved in real estate, but what are the draws to the area? Get stock photos for the downtown area, or like if it's close to a national park, what are they going to walk or drive to and get stock photos? And like Darren said, you want to have summer and winter photos. So in the fall, we're putting up winter photos. In the spring, we're putting up summer photos. So you're going to want photos of both just to kind of get people in that booking mode, right? Like, ooh, I can't wait to go ski, or I can't wait to enjoy this place in the summer. We don't have it yet, but we are working on getting walkthrough videos for all of our properties too. We're going to talk about this, we call it a hero shot, but you want your first shot. So this is my favorite picture here. This one, this is of a cabin in Maggie Valley, North Carolina. I just love this picture. Like the sky is purple, the hot tub, the deck, the view. That is the best hero shot that we have. And so we just want to make sure that we include all of those in your photography. It's super important. So I just talked about the hero shot. This is my favorite one. And so here's your first 5 photos. This is very different from real estate. So you want your hero shot. Generally, you want to follow that by a kitchen shot, your primary bedroom, living room, and then a guest review where we've added signage to all of our properties. So I think that that's, yes, is here. So we've just added this. We learned this we went to Bill Faith's short-term rental conference. So in our listings now, you're going to see we have pictures of reviews. I don't know where I learned this, but as far as reviews go, you want one short review, like best place ever, exclamation point. You want some sort of medium review, a couple sentences, and then you want a longer review because they just appeal to different personality types. So you're going to have 3 different reviews in your properties. And you'll notice we've also named all of our properties. And so this is so cool. So this welcome to Bear in Boulder, this is an AI generated sign in Canva. And so we put this as our 5th picture because for savvy travelers who know that they can direct book Airbnbs, they can save that 12 or 13% by booking at glensdens.com. So giving them a property name, you can't put a website in here, right? It's Airbnb. They're not going to let you try to direct them out of theirs into yours, but that's what this is for. This is for savvy travelers to get there. And also we like to name all of our properties. I use ChatGPT to help us with all of our property naming.
I do use our Glens Dens logo with the website as my profile picture in Airbnb. They haven't said anything or made me take it down yet, but it has worked a few times for people to search us and just do direct bookings off of Airbnb.
Okay, and I see Kip here. So we want to get walkthrough videos. I do love those. And again, guys, we haven't done this and we just went to a class. And so we're kind of, I would say, halfway through a revamp on our Airbnbs. But you know those, I don't love Matterport. I would love a true walkthrough video, but I love the floor plans that show the furniture. Have you guys seen those? Where instead of just, the drawings, it actually has it's like if you cut the house open and you could look down and you could see the furniture in the house. So that's something we're also working on getting in place, and we would highly recommend. The more media that you guys can get, the higher the chances of your bookings going up.
The reason we talk about the 5 photos is when you pull up a property on Airbnb, right, you see the collage of their first 5 photos. After that, you've got to click and start looking through the photos. So those first 5 are your most important ones that you want to draw people's attention to.
Yeah, so don't stick your review generally there unless you don't have a sign or something. And then the rest of the photos, order like you're walking through the house. So you're coming in the house, your main floor, then you go upstairs, then you go downstairs. And unfortunately, you guys have, unless you have owner res, which again, it's expensive, it's clunky, it's awesome once you learn how to use it, but it takes a lot to get into. You do have to upload photos individually to each platform. So owner res syndicates that for you, but Hospitable will not. So just FYI on that. Okay, so for your property setup. So when you get into setting up your property, there's going to be an amenities section. So, right, do you have a grill? Do you have a baby gate? Do you have this? Do you have that? Carbon monoxide, fire extinguisher, whatever. The list goes on and on. So the algorithm wants you to check as many boxes as possible. So if you guys are setting up your listing and you're missing an amenity, you may want to say like, hey, should my property have that? Likely the answer is yes. And so that's first step to getting your property set up. We are absolutely pet friendly. So we looked up a statistic and 60% of travelers take their pets. So it's a huge audience you're missing out on. Now make sure your HOA allows it. We had somebody in our business in Steamboat and called Airbnb directly on us because we were allowing dogs and the HOA only allows animals for the owners. So decide if you want to go against your HOA or not, but listen, just know that that could be a bylaw. We do charge pet rent, $100 per stay. It will help improve your search rankings. And then you can include in one of your pictures towards the end, because if people aren't pet people, you don't want to over pet your property. So this property that we're under contract in Chattanooga, like you walk in and it's like, we love dogs. And you know what I mean? Like some of their decor, like if you don't love dogs, you don't want that. So make sure you've got your dog bowl and stuff and a picture of a dog, but put that towards the end of your photos if you're going to highlight that. But absolutely yes for pets as long as you can. And most people, guys, we just don't have problems. I mean, the worst thing that's happened, and I mean, we have thousands of stays at this point. We've had red wine spilled on a carpet and we had somebody burn a table. And then we've had a few things go missing. Somebody stole our knife block. We've had some linens. I don't know.
Board games seem to be the thing that go missing more than anything.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is a sweet game. I'm going to take it home with me.
Yeah, board games. But again, guys, it's just so nominal. We're not filing claims. So I'm going to let Darren pop back in because he is the pricing king.
So Airbnb and Vrbo both have pricing built into their websites. Like Airbnb calls their smart pricing. I would never use it. Their goal is to create clicks and create bookings, right? So it's way underpriced. So anytime I get a new property, I always start out pretty conservative on the pricing, just because it's a new property. You're probably not showing up at the top of search rankings until you get a few reviews under your belt. Properties that we've owned for 4 or 5 years now, I start getting more aggressive and pushing the price, especially when it's further out in the season. But for the first 6 months, I always keep it pretty conservative on the pricing, just because you want to get your get bookings, get reviews, build your reviews up, and then you can start pushing the price up a little bit more than that. A new listing, Airbnb automatically, I think, offers the first 3 bookings at a discount, which is always encouraged anyway. You want to get a couple reviews going on your property. A lot of people, and I used to, there's a lot of people do a 7-day discount. If it's more than 7 days, 10% off, more than 30 days, 15% off, something like that to encourage longer stays. And I've used to do that. And even on a new listing, I would still probably encourage that just to get some additional bookings. But I pretty much discontinued all those kind of discounts like that now. Last minute bookings, 7 days, 30 days. If people reach out to you and in 7 days and they want to stay at your place, they're going to ask you for a discount. Hey, I'm going to stay here for 10 days. Any way you can give me a deal? And then you're like, oh, sure, I'll give you 10% off. But I just don't offer it just upfront anymore. I think most of our places we've had long enough, they're high enough in the search rankings that, I'm trying to maximize revenue at this point. So, and I would always use this pricing software. Like I said, when I first bought the Bear and Boulder, the cabin up there in Drake, I started out at $125 a night flat rate, and then I pushed it up to a 150, whatever. Now that I have the software, I mean, 4th of July, I might be getting $600 a night this way. And you just never know when there's a new concert that got announced in your neighborhood, or a balloon festival or something like that. That's a big draw to your neighborhood, or a triathlon. I don't know. There's all sorts of things that just fluctuate price that you can maximize. So I would always use a pricing software. And so Price Lab is by far the most popular. There are a couple other ones out there as well. And a new thing that I've learned recently at this, Bill Faith is like the short-term rental guru. He puts on a lot of classes and seminars. Is search pricing. It's been super successful for us. So if you have a weekend that isn't booked 1 week out in advance, so I've done it on a Saturday typically for the following weekend if I have an opening on that weekend, and I'll drop the price. In Price Labs, you can go and do a flat dollar rate, or you can do a percentage. I usually use a percentage, and I'll drop it 2 to 3% in the morning. Wait a couple hours. Drop it 2 or 3%. So you're only dropping it, $5, $6 at a time. But there's something about repeated price drops like that. Like if I have a Friday, Saturday open in the previous Saturday, and I'll drop it 2 to 3% at 9 o'clock in the morning, drop it again at 11 or lunchtime. Once at 3 o'clock, I will almost always get that weekend booked by the end of the day. And you're not, you might be dropping the price $20 at the most on that whole day, but to get that weekend booked, to have a weekend that would have been open in the off season is, obviously if you can make $400 versus $0, I'm going to do that every single time.
This, guys, I can't emphasize enough. We have made thousands of dollars doing this, and we just learned this a couple months ago. So we literally, the first tip we took away from the class, Darren did it on the way home from the class, and we got a booking on the way home. Because after the second price drop. So if you guys are actively using Airbnb, this is like gold mine territory. So
are you talking about this round?
Go ahead.
Okay. So 5-star reviews, your biggest driver of traffic and your biggest driver of the algorithm is your reviews. Talk a lot about Airbnb just because that's the like I said, 600-pound gorilla. I think Verbo got bought by Hotels.com and Expedia recently, 2 years ago. I've seen Verbo start to get more bookings that way, but Airbnb still crushes them. So outside of cleaning, your communication with guests is your biggest thing to get a 5-star review. So I've got a whole automated guest check-in process that I use, and messages that get sent out that I'll go through here.
No, not. We're going to give them to you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Airbnb calculation. If you're looking at an Airbnb, it'll say this host usually responds in 6 hours, right? Your goal is for that to say 0. So I have an automated messaging through Hospitable that goes out anytime somebody asks me a question without booking, like, hey, how far are you from the river? Hey, are you close? My cousin's getting married at X. How far away is that from you? I have an automated message that goes out, says, hey, thanks for your inquiry. Let me look into this and I'll get back to you. So it goes out as soon as there's an inquiry. So my response time on Airbnb is immediate, which helps with your search algorithms. So I have that set up. And then I have an automated message that goes out as soon as they book the property. Hey, thanks for your booking. Or strive for a 5-star review. I don't have it in front of me. I don't know exactly what it says, but we're going to give it all to you. Then I have another automated message that goes out 3 days before booking, just because, again, you'll get a question a couple days before booking because they booked it 6 months ago and they're like, hey, when am I going to get the door code or something like that. So the automated message 3 days before booking says, hey, I hope you're excited for your upcoming stay. The day before check-in, I'm going to send you all this information. Let me know if you need anything in the meantime. And again, it has that link to the Touch Stay app, so they can get that before they actually check in. Then the day of check-in, address.
Sorry.
Address, Wi-Fi, their personal door code, any, I don't know. It's a pretty long thing, and it's specific to each property. So I've got on that one, I've got it specified per property, just with all the information they're going to need. And then I have another one that goes out 10 a.m. the day after check-in. So the first morning, the goal for the 5-star is just keep reiterating a 5-star. You guys have all got customer surveys and they're like, we strive for a 5-star, right? So the morning after check-in, hey, I hope you enjoyed your first night. Just wanted to check in. We strive for a 5-star experience and a 5-star review. If there's anything that's not up to your expectations, please let me know now so I can fix it, right? You don't want checkout, hey, that's great, but I wish there would have been X, or I can't figure out how to work the furnace. Whatever the question is, you just want to take care of it the very first day. And so that goes in at 10 a.m. after the first night. And then I have another message that goes out the day before check-in, their checkout instructions. I used to send it out the morning of checkout, but I got a lot of people, that wanted to, prepare the night before. Hey, what do we need to do for checkout? Do I need to take out the trash? Do I need to start the washer? So I sent it out the day before now, just saying, hey, hope you're enjoying your stay. Again, asking for a 5-star review. Here's the things for checkout tomorrow morning. And another tip that I learned from Bill Faith is I used to have, like, you go out, stay in Airbnb and you get that checkout instruction: strip the bed, start the dishes, wash the laundry, put away the dishwasher, and you got this longer list of stuff to do, right? I don't expect anybody to do anything. I say, enjoy your stay, enjoy your last night. Tomorrow morning, what does it say?
We're going to give it to them.
Okay. Basically says, if you'd like to start the load of laundry and the dishwasher, it would greatly help our cleaners, but you don't have to, right? And so I don't set any long list of things that they have to do. Just here's some things that would be helpful if you can. And then the day after checkout, again, hey, hope you enjoyed your stay. Just wanted to, you'll get a review from Airbnb. We really strive for a 5-star experience. Again, just asking for that 5-star review after checkout.
Okay, guys, and we have this for you too. I think another part of a 5-star review is a fully stocked house. We are big believers in fully stocking your house, right? We do not put out one laundry pod and one roll of toilet paper. And some people even say, like, you got to bring your own towels. They are going on vacation. I do not expect them to go to the store and get anything for our Airbnb. So that includes, your cleaning items, your dishwasher detergent, laundry detergent, paper towels, toilet paper, Kleenexes, all of that, as well as shampoo, conditioner. I also like a fully stocked kitchen. So we'll talk about a coffee bar, but I want cook spray in there. I want some simple spices. I want aluminum foil. I want all of the basics covered, right? And then most of our guests, we encourage our cleaning team that if it's not perishable, leave it in the house and see if another guest wants to use it, right? So then your spices will kind of end up building up, or there might be some rice up there or something that somebody else may choose to use.
Typically, if you can't stick a utensil in it, then, like, if it's a squeeze bottle of ketchup, they'll leave it there. If it's mayonnaise, you can put a fork or a finger in it, they'll toss it.
So this will be coming to you guys too, so don't feel like you're missing out on anything. So we love little special touches at our Airbnbs. And so we love our cleaning team to do special things with all the paper products. We like our towels folded into fans. Make it look nice, right? Make them feel like they're on vacation. Bill Faith always says his goal is to make wealthy Wendy happy, right? So you want wealthy Wendy, if that's your avatar, to come into your house and feel like she's home. And guys, do things. I mean, you've all been in the Airbnbs. Your linen should be matching. Every guest gets 2 pillows. Don't be stingy on your pillows. It drives me crazy. Making sure your dishes match and aren't chipped. Make sure your decor is updated. So we have a couple houses that we've been slowly updating. And I think this year is the time that we're going to go get them finished up, right? Because, right, all of this cost money as far as updating goes. But the nicer it is, the more that you can rent it for. So make sure your cleaning team is doing that as well. We love a coffee bar. Here's a couple examples. So see, this bottom picture would be an example of one of our kitchens that is literally still from the 70s. And so you got to work with the space that you have. So our top coffee bar is kind of a condensed coffee bar because it's just like a one wall of cabinet. So this is actually a freestanding island. But we love a coffee bar. Some other ideas are a waffle bar. We heard somebody do a milkshake bar, a welcome basket. Pick one, right? I don't think you have to go overboard. For us, we love coffee, and so we like to share that with people. Make sure your kitchen is well stocked, like we said. You want them to feel like they are on vacation when they're there. So we're going to give you guys also at the end our coffee bar, what we try to put in every single coffee bar. We're almost done. So here is a list of stocking our coffee bar, but we're going to share one with you that has all the Amazon links too. Okay, so here it is. So look at that, 11:33. I feel pretty dang good about that. Yes. So I guess lastly, I know there was one question in here that Kayla had that I don't think got answered. She was just asking if a lawyer drafted kind of, oh, did you answer that?
No,
okay.
it's in the owner software that I use. They have pre-drafted rent lease agreements. It's specific. It's like a regular lease agreement, but just specifically for short-term rental about damages and checking out on time, and it's pretty generic. Like I said, gives you a little bit extra layer of protection. But one of the benefits is it captures their email when they fill it out. They have to put their email address in there, because Airbnb gives you like an alias email. You can never actually know what their true email. So it's an email capture system. If you want to go down, MailChimp direct marketing and try to get people repeat stays at your direct booking website and away from Airbnb.
All right. What else, guys?
Can you talk a little bit more about insurance and what that looks like? So, because your normal homeowner's insurance won't cover that, right? You have to get specific short-term rental policy. So we have State Farm. So does State Farm probably do that?
Yep, State Farm does. Just if you get a standard landlord policy, it typically excludes short-term rentals because it's vacant in between, right? And they want your property to be occupied the entire time. There's some that are just short-term specific, and there's some companies that add a short-term rental rider to your rental policy. Most of the big State Farm and Farmers both do short-term rental, and then I think Travelers, and there's a lot of smaller companies that just specialize in short-term rental. They say they have better coverage, and biggest thing is loss of rent. Say if your house was damaged or something like that and it's not occupied, you're going to be able to get loss of rents coverage rather than it just sitting vacant, which most landlord policies aren't going to cover very limited amounts. Same thing with landlord policies have very small personal property amounts, but obviously if you're running a fully furnished place, I don't want $20,000 in property coverage. I want $50,000 or $60,000 in property coverage if there was a fire or tornado or any of those kind of things.
So just kind of in that same line, do y'all use a linen service, or do you, in addition to your cleaners, or you just purchase them and then your cleaner says time to replace them?
Yep. We just purchase everything ourselves. You have 2 sets for every bed. Enough towels. You don't want to force them to turn over linens and laundry and towels every turnover. So you want to have 2 sets. I have some cleaners that do laundry at our house, and I have some, bigger operations. They'll take it. I have one cleaning lady that has 8 washers and dryers in her basement and just takes everything home, so they don't have to try to turn it over on site.
Right.
But I try everything matches, right? So I'm not have 2 different colors of sheets and then they'll undoubtedly get mixed, and you'll have tan pillows with gray sheets or something like that. So everything's the same in every house, and there's 2 sets of everything.
All right, and then one other quick question, just about the labeling of things. I visited some Airbnbs where the kitchen cabinets have plates go here, the cups go here. Do y'all label them?
I don't know.
Hate it. Don't do it.
We bought one that was like that, and we just took them all off because I don't know, just looks.
Doesn't feel like vacation, is what I feel like, right? And people just move your stuff anyways.
Look at saying undoubtedly at all.
We had somebody come into one of our Airbnbs, guys. They didn't take anything. They rearranged all of our decor.
The entire house.
And I was like, that took a lot of time and effort on your vacation to redecorate. But so yes, don't do it. It's not going to help. And I just feel like it doesn't feel like vacation.
I would say linens and sheets, towels are things that just get damaged. And, I'm in a lot of Facebook groups and people arguing and trying to go to Airbnb and get claims and collect from rent tenants and things like that. I don't charge anybody for anything. It's just, you're running a business. It's a cost of business. Sheets are going to get bled on. I don't know. Things are going to happen. we replace a lot of sheets and towels, and it's just cost of business. I don't ever want to go back after it, just because some kid got a bloody nose on a pillow. I'm not trying to collect $20.
Thank you.
All right. Carla, what you got?
All right, two things. Speaking of sheets, never use microfiber. Hair sticks to that, and I had to throw those away. Do have a wholesale linen person I'll share with you, Aaron and Darren, so you can share it with the group.
Yeah,
I
or
would
you
like-
have it. Will you stick it in the chat so everybody can have it?
I have to find them.
Okay, well,
Yes.
we'll
I was
get it out to you
hoping-
guys.
Hoping to send it to you so you could disperse it once I find it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then what was my second thing? Oh, now I've forgotten. I'll come back. I did have snowbirds rearrange my entire unit, but I'll come back. There was something else.
Well,
Oh,
at least-
furniture
At
store.
least they were
did
staying there
partner-
for a couple of months, right?
Yeah.
Yes, they were staying for a couple of months, not a week. I did partner with a local furniture store that I can literally send my buyers to and say, okay, they just bought a 2-bedroom condo. Buy package B or package A, buy the traditional, buy the modern package, and it's all ready to go for them. Beds, the entire condo. So it's just a 2-bedroom condo package with my local furniture store, family-owned furniture store. So that might be something that other people want to do as well.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, there's a lot of services out there for short-term rentals that's gained in popularity. There's a company called Minoan that I know. I've never used them. But you can buy furniture from them, and I think it has like a little tag, like if you love this couch, scan this QR code, and if that person goes and buys that same couch, you get some sort of kickback or referral fee. So I mean, there's all sorts of different. I mean, if you start Googling short-term rental companies, I mean, there's every service provider in every category you could probably find.
Mitzi?
Yes. Speaking of beds and bedding, ideally you want to fit as many people in that you can,
Mhm.
like for a family. What do you suggest for bed configurations? If you have a master, or not a master, a primary, and
suite.
then additional beds.
So most places now have licensing requirements. It's pretty rare to find places without any sort of licensing.
Right.
Most of them are going to limit your license to 2 people per bedroom plus 2. So if you have a 4-bedroom, your license is going to be for 10 people, whether you
Okay.
have a bunk bed in one room, a sleeper sofa, whatever that is. But any place that licenses is going to limit the number of guests. And I think bathrooms is also your biggest driver in that, just because you have 4 bedrooms, but maybe you only have 1 bathroom. You don't want 8 people trying to share 1 bathroom, right? So
Right.
4 guests per bedroom is probably the max. I mean, maybe you could push that to 5, but it's not going to be super great.
Kings all the time, all day.
Kings at every bedroom that'll fit a king, we have a king bed.
Okay.
Kings
Yeah.
and bunks, I would say, would be first where we'd go if your area supports having bunks, right? Like if you're in a high-end resort area, you might be better with 2 kings.
Right.
But kings if they'll fit, for sure. And
Okay.
get good mattresses, guys. Amazon has wonderful mattresses for $500 that get good
We
mattresses.
use specifically the Zenith green tea mattress on Amazon, and I could pull up a review on every single one of our places that talks about how comfortable the beds are.
Can you repeat that? Zenith. Okay.
Zenith
It's
is the
green
brand
tea.
ZINUS, and I think it's called the green tea. And they sell it in like 8 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches, different thicknesses. It's just one of those, I don't know, one of the ones that comes rolled up in a tube and
Yep. So definitely don't skimp on your beds. Christian, what you got?
Hey, on your direct bookings, how you have that website built out,
Mhm.
what do you have to think about as far as, like, does your insurance policy for short-term rentals cover any incidents happen? Because I know whenever you go through VRBO or Airbnb, incidents are covered.
Mhm.
And then do you submit your own, I guess it's hospitality taxes and just kind of that extra stuff? In general, what all do you have to think about with direct booking?
Yeah, once you go direct booking, there's a lot more moving pieces. VRBO has Verbo has they call it the merchant of record. So actually, Airbnb still does all their own taxes and everything like that, but Verbo, I collect the money directly. and pay my own taxes as well as direct booking through OwnerRez. You can make that transition if you want to, or you can let them handle it. That's, I guess I have a specific lease agreement that I have everybody sign. It's similar to a normal long-term tenant lease. It's just specifically for, short-term rental. Has some different verbiage in there. And I collect a $300 security deposit. You could set it for $500, $1,000. You can do whatever you want. It's kind of like a car rental, right? They just place a hold on the card, and then it releases it 3 days after booking or 2 days after booking. However I want to set that up, unless I want to collect it. I've honestly never kept a dollar from anybody in all the years and all the properties. Like I said, I had one table that was a side table that got, I don't know, get burned or someone spilled acidy Coke spilled on it and left there, and it ate the finish off. I'm like, I don't know, it's a $30 side table. Like, I really want the hassle of dealing with somebody and arguing, or let's go grab a new one.
Right.
So I've never had a problem. Never had, I keep a 25-year-old age minimum. So not rented to 21-year-olds or college kids. Never had massive parties. People stay in longer than they wanted to. All the horror stories you see, I've never had any of those problems. So, but once you do start direct booking, you are responsible for your own taxes, which is a pain because, like a lot of places, like a place in Georgia, it's a $5 a night hotel tax. State of Georgia has a sales and use tax. The county has a sales and use tax. The city has a sales and use tax. So it's like 6 different tax forms you got to file. So again, there's a third-party service. It's called Avalara. And once a month, I just upload any of the direct bookings that I've taken. It costs, I don't know, it costs, for 8 properties, it's like $350 a year. And they handle all the licensing, pull the licenses, and then it's, they'll collect and pay taxes. I just print out my direct booking thing per property, send it to them, and they take care of all the rest. So it's not that expensive. It's like $30-40 a property.
Okay. Thank you.
It's like if you have one property and 1 or 2 sets of taxes to pay, but once you have 3 or 4 properties, and if you're in a jurisdiction that's got state, city, county, local taxes, then it just becomes a nightmare. So it's well worth the cost of doing it.
Yeah.
Mitzi?
So I was just going to say, back before Airbnb was ever a thing, we did the Verbo, and I made the mistake of being the designated cleaner for that. And yeah, that was that was not good. So that tip of having, I know you have to have cleaners, because back in the day, short-term rentals weren't a thing. And in a mountain community, it's very difficult to get cleaners anyway. And so I got them when I could, but a lot of times I couldn't get them. So I would be the backup, and still that takes all the pleasure out of having your rental.
I am not a cleaner.
Like having to do that.
We probably had to last minute do what, 2? It is something else.
So it's always good. I always try to have a backup just in case.
Exactly.
But if you have somebody with a cleaning crew, then they run 20 or 30 cleaners and own a bunch of places. It's pretty typical. They're pretty set it and forget it. If you have like a one lady and her mom operation, you should have a backup, because something's going to happen, or they're going to go out of town and you're going to get a last minute booking, or even if it's just a regular house cleaner. They don't specialize in short-term rental, but you got to use them here and there to fill in. Just have a backup, or you're going to find yourself mopping floors. I've done twice.
Yes.
Like last time I'm doing this.
That was a long time ago. Live and learn, right? It was a long time ago, before they got popular.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Anybody else have questions we can help you with today? Well, I'm sure if they do come up after this, feel free to message us. If you think of classes that you want to teach, I think our next one will likely just be like entering short-term rental market, markets, how do you look for properties, all of that. But if there's anything that we can teach on that would be helpful, please let us know.
Yep.